All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Manhattan Community Board 3's full board meeting for the month of February 2022. I hope everyone's had a good one so far. It's kind of warm and kind of yucky outside, so let's get started. We're going to start with our public session this evening, and I'll call out the three names at a time, Susan, just in case. I'm going to start with Andrew Flam, then Tonto Cabrera, and Michelle L. I'm assuming it's Michelle Little because I just looked at the email. So we'll start with those three. There are 2 minutes for each person. Andrew Flam from Pace University, you're on the clock.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andrew Flam. I'm the director of the Small Business Development Center at Pace University, and thank you so much for the time. Good to see some familiar faces and familiar names. The work that we do at the Pace University SBDC, our Small Business Development Center, is providing one-on-one business advisory assistance to aspiring entrepreneurs as well as existing small business owners, helping them in a wide range of issue areas such as access to finance, building and developing marketing campaigns, procurement opportunities through government and other sources, as well as securing MWB certification for other issue areas and operational challenges. In particular, post-pandemic, we've been working to help small business owners access a wide range of federal, state, and city grant and low-interest loan programs, helping get tens of millions of dollars into the hands of much-needed small business owners. I'm here tonight just to kind of make sure that you all are kind of familiar with the services that we provide. We do work with a wide range of business owners in CB3 as well as elsewhere in the city, whether it's a brick and mortar location such as restaurants, retail shops, service businesses, as well as a wide range of home-based businesses. So here tonight, just to kind of let you know about the one-on-one services that we offer. We're staffed by a team of full-time business advisors, and all of the work that we offer is available at no cost to small businesses. We also do a wide range of training programs that are available. These are also available at no cost. Primarily, these are offered via webinar right now. We're hoping to transition back into the not mode. Shall I continue? I guess
Very sorry.
You can continue, Andrew. Go ahead.
Okay. In any event, I'm just here this evening just to make sure that you all are aware of our services and look forward to continue to serve businesses in the community. If there are things that we can do to help in terms of presentations to the board and or materials we can get to small business owners that are in need of services, I'm happy to do anything I can to help. My contact information is my first initial last name at pace.edu. That's aflam@pace.edu. And the website for our organization is pacesbdc.org. I can put that in the chat as well for board members to review. Feel free to reach out if I can do anything to help. Thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry if I could just interrupt a second. This is not for you, Andrew. The closed caption is not enabled, and I can't find it. Linda, can you see that?
Someone has to request it, and then I can enable it.
Well, it's already been requested. There's no place to request it. No, it's the other way around. You have to enable it, and then they request it.
Okay, so on.
Okay, so
You got it.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. I think there's some people that, there we go. All right, the next speaker I have is Tonto Cabrera. Am I saying that correctly?
I didn't see him on.
Okay, I'll come back in case he comes back on. Next person I see is Michelle Little. You have 2 minutes.
Can I ask a question before I begin?
Sure.
I was writing, I called, I inquired about how to fill out the form. I'm speaking in, against an agenda item. So I just wanted to double check, is now the appropriate time?
That's fine. You have 2 minutes to speak against that item.
Okay, and I have another neighbor that would like to participate too, that filled out the form.
Just the person who
guys
signed
are
up. Thank you.
You're all done this.
Perfect. So I'm Michelle Little. Hello, I am an 8-year resident of the East Village, living during my time at the same location. My apartment is above Cloister Cafe's courtyard. Prior to COVID, during COVID, I had many sleepless nights and interrupted sleep nights due to loud music, bass, partying. I said last week, I equated to sleeping in a nightclub. Cloister Cafe's outdoor space, while beautiful and inviting, should be required to close at 10 p.m. to show respect to the neighbors surrounding the business. While several representatives in support mentioned family repeatedly last week, I have a family and this is disrespectful to them. I know one or more of the SLA members was concerned about these hours because they feel like the profit might diminish. Some parameters and a decent closing time must be established. Cloister Cafe has repeatedly proven to be a bad neighbor, disrespectful to those around them. Please make sure they close the outdoors by 10 p.m. and/or give us your phone numbers as to who we may contact. We've made numerous attempts ourselves to 311 and the police. Some of our neighbors in our building have moved out. Yes, that can be substantiated. Current neighbors have also been unsuccessful in their attempts to get them to turn down the music. Google Cloister Cafe noise complaints, and you will see 2 of those neighbors. Cloister Cafe should close at 10 p.m. Several of us had contacted by attorneys last year and asked to appear in court. I didn't feel as though that was necessary, but asking here today politely, thank you again for your time and attention to this matter.
Thank you. All right, the next person I have is Nancy Schreiber. Am I saying that correctly? Is Nancy on?
Hello, can you hear me?
Are you Nancy?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi. So hello, everybody. Again, I have lived here for 27 years. As Michelle was saying, if you Google Cloister Cafe, there is an article that was written with me and a neighbor who's now moved out because of the noise. The article is from 2011. So the rhetoric is the same. I have not changed any of my complaints from 2011. Again, it's 4 a.m. I've had the everything you can think of. I've had the police department. I've had the EPA. All of the above. I have 311, a stack of 311s dating back to 2007. And they just don't play nice. I've tried. I've done everything I possibly can. I don't want to waste your time with all of the things that are in the article, but if I would suggest that you guys would just Google it and see what was being said 2011. So again, it started actually in 2007 when they closed the outdoor patio with a tent and made it into a nightclub. I just can't, I just don't know what else to do. I'm so frustrated because I've gone down every avenue possible. And it's been the same since 2011. A lot of people last week thought it was because of the COVID. It has nothing to do with COVID at all. And I just, if this goes into play and we are right back at square one, I want to know who I can talk to, because once that door is open, I do not believe they are going to play the right way. They haven't in the past, and I don't see any reason why they would now. It's not about being a restaurant, it's about being a nightclub. And like I said, I'm frustrated beyond belief, because I just can't imagine this is not gonna go on again, as I've been trying for X amount of years. You know, I waited tables. My mother was a bartender. We had a family business. I'm not against, I love going to East Village restaurants. I love going out to bars here and supporting everybody. That's not about that at all. They are not participating on that level. They are just making it into a nightclub for young kids to just hang out till 4 a.m. And once bitten, twice shy. You guys don't live here. I don't know what else, how else I can convince you besides, you know, the fact that it's gone back to 2011.
Okay.
When
Thank you, Ms. Schreiber. Your 2 minutes are up. I'm sorry
Okay,
the clock
thank you.
wasn't going, but thank you. The next person I have is Klaus Schreiber. Am I saying that correctly?
Here I am.
Am I saying that correctly?
You have said it exactly correctly.
Oh, Thank you.
And
Go
that's
ahead.
one
You
of
have 2
the
minutes.
first times in my life that someone has done that.
All right, you got 2 minutes.
Okay, so to reiterate, I think what Nancy has said, we have had so many noise issues. I am compelled to keep the music in my apartment to a level that won't annoy my neighbors. Why can't a business also be compelled to do the same thing? It's very easy for me to regulate myself. They should have control and be able to regulate themselves so they don't annoy us, their neighbors. Very simple. You have to build a roof. You have to build an insulated space that compresses sound so that it doesn't come up to my apartment and annoy me. It's very simple. You can do whatever you want. Make a nightclub, make noise. Just don't have the ambient noise coming up to annoy your neighbors.
From a tent.
Very simple. It's a tent. It's fabric.
And you've
Sound waves travel upward through fabric. Very
Right.
simple. Very simple. Build a structure, spend some money. We'll all be happy. You'll make your money. I'll be sleeping at night.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Next person I have on my list is Bill Ferns. Bill, you on?
I'm here. How are you? Thank you for giving me the chance to speak. I'm here in support of item number 2 of the Transportation Committee, which is to reject the Department of Transportation's proposal for changing traffic flow down on Grant Street. There's several problems with this proposal. It doesn't address how Grant Street and Clinton Street serve as an on-ramp to the Williamsburg Bridge, and it actually seeks to increase the throughput of cars by over 13%. And it's already crazy down here. I know some of the members of the committee live down here, so they can vouch for that. It deals with only one section in the neighborhood, and when there's several that are really problematic. I could actually see 2 of the problematic ones, Grant and Clinton and East Broadway and Clinton, right from my living room. It does not deal with needed enforcement measures from the 7th Precinct and the NYPD Traffic Bureau. There's virtually no coordination. The Department of Transportation says that they do things that are self-enforcing, but if you saw all the running red lights and going in the wrong lanes that I see and some of the Transportation Committee members see, you'd see that self-enforcing is a myth. It doesn't address how the M14A will be delayed even more by the Williamsburg Bridge traffic, because what it's doing is it's extending the Williamsburg traffic down 2 blocks right in the way of the M14A. And it also doesn't address the mandate of Local Law 195 that the City Council passed a few years ago, which is to prioritize safety, improve mass transit, reduce emissions, and improve access for people with disabilities, including pedestrian walls. It doesn't deal with additional bike lanes or protecting them. So I hope that you will vote to support the Transportation Committee's resolutions on item number 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. The next person I see on my list is Rich Gaspar. Is he on? Rich Gaspar. All right, I'll come back just in case. Last person I have on my list is Harriet Skidelsky. She on?
I don't see her.
That's strange.
Do you see her?
Is there anybody in the attendees with those names? Harriet or Rich?
I'm looking for them. I don't see them.
I'm looking for any other names. Is Santo on? No?
No.
Okay. All right, that is all I have for speakers for tonight. If they're not on, we're gonna move forward. I see somebody has their hand in the attendees list. I don't know who that is.
I don't know.
Okay. All right, I am moving forward. We're gonna go to our elected official reports. Valentina, do you have a quick question? Is your hand up for a reason? Is there?
Yeah, just can you just repeat how people sign up? Because that's what that person had their hand up for. They said they couldn't figure out how to sign up. So can you just state how they sign up and when?
Sure.
Thanks.
No problem. Signing up for public speaker session is on the website. There is a public speaker form on the Community Board 3 website. I can't tell you off the name of the website off the top of my head, but please look up the Community Board 3, Manhattan Community Board 3's website. Public speaker form is there, and you can always sign up prior to the meeting up to 12 o'clock on the day of the full board meeting. All right, thank you. So we will move forward now with our elected official reports. Does Mayor Adams happen to be on the line?
Sure.
Negative? No? Worth a shot? Okay. Anybody from the Public Advocate's office? 0 for 2. Comptroller's office? 0 for 3. That's not a good day at the plate. All right. Borough President's office, Eric Cuello. I thought I saw you on.
You did. How's it going, Paul?
How you doing,
I
Eric?
just want to defer my time because the borough president will be joining us shortly. I'll let him make his report.
Thank you, Eric. I'll come back. Is anyone on from Representative Velasquez's office? All right, now I'm 1 for 5. All right. Anyone from Representative Maloney's office?
Yes, this is Victor.
There we go. Go ahead, Victor. You have 2 minutes.
Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney led 14 of her House colleagues in the New York delegation in sending a letter to the New York State Public Service Commission, calling on it to consider using all available authorities to investigate the rate increases to many New Yorkers, Con Edison electricity bills, and to ensure that their constituents have access to utility services at appropriate rates. In their letter to the Public Service Commission, members write, quote, "We're hearing from numerous constituents we represent express deep concerns about whether they'll be able to afford these rate hikes. As many New Yorkers have pointed out, should these rate hikes continue, it would make it impossible for residents to be able to afford rent and utilities. In many cases, these rate increases, as well as proposed rent rate increases Con Edison submitted for services provided in future years, could force residents to move out of their homes. We believe this may lead constituents having to choose between putting food on the table and keeping electricities running." They further state, "As we work to recover from the global pandemic that has left many people in economically vulnerable situations, it is important that the Commission work hand in hand with the measures passed by Congress to protect New Yorkers from significant rate hikes," said Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. These and other issues can be found at the Congresswoman's website at house.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Any questions for the Congress member's office? Any pertinent questions? Once, twice, 3 times sold. Thank you, Victor. Assembly Member News Office.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few updates from our end, and I'll try to be brief as well. On February 12th, Assemblymember Neuvert hosted her annual budget town hall through Zoom. For the event, Eileen invited constituents to submit questions to our expert panels on topics such as housing, NYCHA, senior and social services, health, economic justice, education, criminal justice, and waterfront resiliency. The experts that we included came from offices such as city and state officials, other elected leaders, the heads of community organizations, NYCHA TA leaders, and of course, community board representatives. We have the entirety of the virtual town hall archived on our YouTube channel, so feel free to reach out to me if you'd like a link to it, just for your reference on the topics that we discussed in greater detail. Assemblymember New has also been a leading fighter to pass a package of 6 bills designed to bring accountability to Albany by closing legal loopholes that exempted state and local governments from responsibility for sexual harassment committed by public officials. Recently, the sexual misconduct bill has passed the Codes Committee. And finally, I wanted to share a few words from the Assembly member regarding the death of Christina Lee. Over the past days, we have all come to know more about Christina Lee, who was stolen from us by a senseless act of unspeakable, horrific violence. Her loss is a loss for our entire community, and we mourn her as one of our own. The time for action is now, and more than ever, the AAPI community needs our non-Asian friends and neighbors to stand up and demand meaningful action to end this wave of deadly violence. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Any questions for the Assembly Member's Office? Going once, twice, 3 times sold. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Assembly Member Glick's office. I saw Charlie on.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, good evening. Charlie Anderson from Assemblymember Deborah Glick's office. A very brief report this evening. We have a board report that I'm about to put here in the chat, just kind of outlining some things that the Assembly member has been doing in the past month. At the end of that board report, I want to make sure that everyone knows we have some links for free tax prep that's offered from the city. To receive free tax help in New York City, you have to earn less than $72,000, which is a pretty high threshold to receive assistance on your taxes for the 2021 tax year. Additionally, we have some information in there about an Albany update we're looking at this month. There were many joint legislative budget hearings, including the Assembly Members Committee, which is the Higher Education Committee. We will be coming back next month as we move into budget month in Albany with a little bit more full update looking forward toward a passed budget in New York State. And then of course in April, we always will provide you with our update and wrap up of what went into the budget and what that looks like for the state of New York. That's it from me. Look out for that board report I just put in the chat. And unless there are any questions, that's it for me this evening.
All right. Charlie, well, first of all, I see Ms. Cohen's hand up from Senator Kavanaugh's office. So do you have a question about something or no? Hands down. All right. Olympia, go right ahead.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Hey, Charlie. So I just wanted to make sure, I'm pretty sure you're following that, but this month we had the panel of education policy vote yes on a merger of 2 schools in our district. And the 2 schools have very different demographics, and even the commissioners at the panel of education policy said that we would need to make sure that the Department of Education puts the funds that we need. So far, the Department of Education hasn't committed to anything. So this is in Deborah Glick's district. So we will look to you and of course to Carlina to help us, because this merger could only be a success if we get the Department of Education to commit to the funds that will ensure that services that are needed from the poorest families are provided in the merged school. So yeah,
yes,
that's it.
Thank you. No, of course, I hear you. We know of the merger, of course, and have been working in conjunction with Assemblymember Epstein's office on the state level in terms of following that merger. I know that there is some concern from parents there that there may be a loss of Title I funds, but we, like you just mentioned, we've been assured by the Department of Education that that can be made up for. Of course, making sure that they do that is an important part of that. So thank you for your comments and the reminder. We'll make sure that we follow up and keep an eye on that, and I can follow up with you separately if need be.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Olympia, any other questions for Charlie? If not, thank you, Charlie.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good night.
All right. Assembly Member Epstein's office, I believe we have a new rep on, Chanel Elliott.
Hi, everyone. It's John Blasco, not Chanel, but Chanel is next to me. And Chanel Elliott is our new Community Board 3 liaison. So I wanted to properly introduce her to you all, and she can say hi. And Assemblymember Epstein will be on, so we won't give a report. but I'll just let her say hello.
Hello, everyone. Good night. Excited to be here with you guys. I'll share my information shortly in case anyone needs to reach out for anything. But besides that, I'm going to share the Community Board 3 report, and then Harvey will update you on anything that he feels is important. But besides that, hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Chanel. I look forward to meeting you tomorrow. All right. So we'll come back to the Assembly member. Now we'll go to State Senator Kavanaugh's office.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eliana. I'm here in Greer's stead. I think you know that he has moved on to working for the Comptroller's office. I actually represent other parts of Brian's district, but while while his role is being filled, I'm here temporarily. We're in the middle of budget season, working hard to advocate for funding for the community, and in particular, funding for AAPI communities, community organizations, and affordable housing priorities, amongst other things. This week, Brian introduced legislation to extend the foreclosure moratorium. As you probably know, the moratorium has been expired since January 15th, and homeowners don't have the same protections that the Emergency Rental Assistance Program allows for. The Emergency Rental Assistance Program is currently accepting applications, though it doesn't currently have a funding stream, though we're trying to change that urgently and expect that there will be funding there. In the meantime, though, even though there isn't funding, if folks apply for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, they are eligible, they will be protected from evictions for at least a year. So on the housing front, those are both things that we're moving towards. Brian has also been working really hard on the Housing Access Voucher Program, which is legislation that he introduced in 2019 pre-COVID, but he's working hard to finally hopefully get it passed this year. It establishes a rental assistance program similar to Section 8, but on the state level, and would be for individuals and families who are experiencing homelessness or who are at an imminent loss of their housing. And this month, he's also been working on legislation on community land trusts, and that would help acquire land in order to build affordable housing on that land. On the community side, he's been working with colleagues on the 265 South Street environmental remediation. And he was with Chris Marte at a rally earlier this month to call for more transparency around this project, which I know is something that has been of concern for folks. And the office is also working with the Lands End 2 Tenants Association to address issues at the development, including the ventilation, flooding, and some structural issues. Brian's been at a bunch of Lunar New Year events and celebrations. He was really excited to have the opportunity to participate in so many of those events. And we were all out on Sunday for the parade, so it was great to see lots of folks out there. And then finally, we are working closely with NYCHA. We know that there are some continued heat and hot water outages, and we're trying to make sure that those get resolved as soon as possible. We definitely encourage folks to reach out to our office as soon as they are aware of anything going on with that, so that we can get in touch with NYCHA as quickly as we can to rectify that. And I think that is everything.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cohen. Richard Ropiak, you have your hand up. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Hi, Ms. Cohen. Last month, I asked the senator about legislation that he had passed concerning affordable housing developments and the negative impacts of his legislation on those housing developments, and that the housing developments had really not heard about this legislation before it was passed. He said that he would reach out to folks. Can you tell me what has been done in terms of reaching out to the developments?
Sorry, can you tell me which specific legislation you were talking about?
It was the Mitchell-Lama housing development legislation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so from my understanding, there is sort of there's going to be a lot of conversations about that and potentially some sort of hearing coming up. I can get back to you on the details of that after I talk to our legislative team. But Brian is always working really closely with housing advocacy organizations and tenant groups and individual folks who are involved in this work. So he's definitely been meeting with people, making those rounds to ensure that he has the most input possible.
Thank you for that, but it's to a certain extent, this is putting the cart before the horse or after the horse. It's the legislation has been passed, and now discussions are going to occur with the housing developments concerning the impacts on them. That's not a very good look.
Okay, I'll definitely pass that along. I'm sure we would love to connect with you directly to, get an understanding of what the specific concerns are that you have in mind. I'm coming in the middle of the game since Greer is usually the one here, so I'm gonna put my email in the chat, and definitely feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Ms. Cohen. I appreciate it if you just put your contact information in the chat so everyone knows who to contact at the senator's office. I see that our Assemblymember Epstein has joined us, and I will go right to him. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Paul, and it's good to see you. I hope you feel comfortable in these meetings. It's always, it takes a little bit it takes a while to adjust. I get it, but so far so good, I'm sure. I just want to introduce our new CB3 liaison, Chanel, who's a LES resident, and she just started with our office. She's actually in the office right now. So she'll be coming to our meetings. If you have questions, you can direct them to her or me, but excited to have another, even though we were sad to lose Aura, we're excited to have another LESer who's joined the team, will really represent our community well. So Chanel put her email in the chat, so people who want to connect up with her, it's the same as everyone else. It's just chanel.district74@gmail. Just a couple things people know. Since last month, the districting lines, we voted on the district line, so my assembly lines changed. So I got less of CB3, unfortunately, and I was really heartbroken around that. I was pushed north and pushed west, which means I have more of CB5, but obviously as a former CB3 member, this is my heart and my community where I live. So I'm here with you, but I will have to be, helping other districts out as well. The other heartbreaking thing was we were pushing for an accessory dwelling unit legislation that was in the governor's budget, and we'd really had a great traction. And unfortunately, last Thursday, the governor removed it from the budget because of pressure that she received from Long Island mostly, but from Westchester as well. She's let in a provision that allows for existing illegal units to be converted to legal units. And I'm hoping we can keep that in the final version of the budget. And that's what I'll be pushing for over the next couple of weeks. But it was a big disappointment last Thursday to see that the governor was pulling that out. That's really, it's a homeowner supported bill that's supported by groups like Redney and Manhattan Student on the Regional Plan Association, as well as groups like Housing Justice for All, community-based organizations. So been a lot of support around the state for it, but there's been a bunch of opposition, especially in suburban locations. So, we're in the budget throes. People should, if they have questions around budget, finances, the governor released our $216 billion budget. We're in the middle of getting our one house budget together. It'll be released in early March and talking about our priorities. So if there are things that people think we should prioritize, again, I'm available. We should hear from you. The last thing I'll say is, you guys, there's a lot going on around open streets and sidewalk sheds, and there's been city council having hearings on that. We were able to get a couple of abandoned sheds removed from our neighborhood, and the more, if people see other abandoned sheds, just let our office know, let Councilman Rivera's office know. We, obviously we want to help our small business, but we also live here. So the rat infestation, abandoned sheds, really, the one on 6th August Law, they had to call the Department of Health in because there were so many needles on the ground when they took the shed down. So care about public safety for all of us, and we have to balance that out against the needs of small businesses. So again, I'm happy to take a question, Paul, if there's time, but we're around. We'll be, I'm in Albany most of the week this time of year, but our office is here to help, and please use our office, whatever support you need.
You Assembly Member, any questions for the Assembly Member? Harvey, we're letting you off the hook, but I will see you tomorrow.
I love that. Thank you.
All right.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow, Paul.
All
Great,
right.
everyone. Have a good end of February.
Thank you. Okay, is the borough president on by any chance, Eric, or no? Not yet. All right, not yet. So we'll come back. We'll move over to Senator Hoylman's office.
Hi, I'm Caroline Wexeldom. I'm from State Senator Brad Hoylman's office, and I'm going to drop our board report in the chat, and I will try to keep this very brief. So Senator Hoylman has introduced several bills this month, and I wanted to highlight a few of them. He has a new composting bill that would require New York City to provide composting services to every residential building. In addition, he also introduced a bill that would make STD testing more available and convenient, and the bill would require insurance plans to cover at-home testing for STDs, because during the pandemic, a lot of people didn't get out to do their regular testing. And then finally, he also introduced a bill that would ban the entire class of PFAS chemicals from anti-fogging sprays and wipes used in New York. So like a lot of people are wearing masks now and their glasses are fogging, so they're using these anti-fogging sprays, but some of them have PFAS chemicals, which are known to be carcinogenic. And the other thing I wanted to highlight is, as many people have said, the budget hearings just concluded, and budget negotiations are actively happening in Albany. And so I'd be happy to speak with anybody who's not sure how the process works. But Senator Hoylman, as chair of the Judiciary Committee, has been strongly advocating for additional legal services funding, including for housing legal services, indigent legal services, immigration, and more. So with that, if anybody has any questions, otherwise we can move on.
All right, any questions for Senator Hoylman's office? Caroline, looks like you're off the hook too. All right.
Well, thank you, Paul.
Thank you. All right. Councilmember Marte's office.
Hi, everyone. Hey, everyone. My name is Jennifer, and I am with Councilmember Chris Marte's office. We have an update on outdoor dining. The vote on repealing the current outdoor dining program is coming up this week. We're still waiting on some changes to be made before we make a final decision about how we will vote. So far, we have successfully been able to fight to make sure the Department of Transportation is not specifically named as the overseeing agency, which means that we'll be able to advocate for interagency oversight later. This upcoming vote does not really deal with the new program, which is our primary concern. We really want to make sure our community's voices are heard and appreciate all the feedback people have already emailed to us. Making sure this isn't a one-size-fits-all approach is our top priority. In terms of updates on 2 bridges, Councilmember Chris Marte had a rally with the Lands End 2 Residents Association to call the city's attention to a restrictive declaration that would give the tenants an independent monitor during the remediation process. We feel optimistic that we're going to get this independent monitor and other requirements laid out in the restrictive declaration. As a couple people before have mentioned, it's budget season right now, and as the co-chair of the Manhattan delegation, the council member hosted a budget town hall that had over 300 nonprofits attend. Staff and directors were able to ask questions directly to City Council Finance and council members, and we're excited to bring more interactive events to make our government transparent and accessible to everyone in the borough. Locally, we're working our way through the over 100 participatory budgeting applications we received, the second most in the entire city. Ballots will be finalized and voted on in the spring. Our funding deadline for discretionary funding is tonight at midnight, and we've received over 1,000 applications for funding. Thank you to everyone who put in time to this application process, and we look forward to working together. In terms of constituent cases, our office has gotten a lot of heat and hot water issues in NYCHA, eviction cases, tenant harassment cases, traffic concerns, and many other issues. We encourage everyone to continue to reach out to us at our District 1 Council email, which I will put in the chat, and I'll also put my own email in the chat as well.
Thank you, Jennifer. You have 2 questions for Susan Stetzer.
Only one question for me. Is the text amendment for the open restaurants, is that a done deal? Have we lost on that?
I would have to get back to you on that. I can check in with the office tomorrow and then email or call you back, Susan, tomorrow. Okay.
That was one of the most important parts of the Community Board 3 resolution. You know, is that we did not want the text amendment, which would allow, you know, outside use in residential neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Valentina Jones, go right ahead.
Yeah, 2 things. One, I want to thank Chris's office because I have relatives that live in Rutgers and the Rutgers houses, and they were very good about getting I think their hot water turned back on. So I think they're still struggling with things, but that happened. The other thing in terms of open restaurants, I'm with a group, we sent something in. I think one of the most important things in terms of COVID is the fact that some of these sheds are totally enclosed and that the ventilation is not better, that they're basically indoor situations. And I think a lot of people are thinking this is an outdoor situation and the ventilation is not better because they're totally enclosed. So hopefully, I think that City Council votes on Thursday. So I'm going to send you something tomorrow about this that clearly references Centers for Disease Control, Mayo Clinic, etc., referencing the fact that ventilation is a big issue with COVID. And some of these sheds are not better ventilation. They're considered indoors. And if they're considered indoors, then people need to know that. And so we've actually sent to the DOT already. But anyway, I'll send you something. But anyway, thank you, because I heard Chris at the hearing. So I was glad that he spoke up. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to getting your response.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right, let's move forward. No other questions. I don't see anyone else's hands up. Councilmember Rivera's office.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I will try to keep my updates brief and not repeat too much because a few other reps have touched on what I was going to share. First and foremost, I wanted to update you all on our legislative efforts. Councilmember Rivera introduced legislation earlier this month calling on DOC to better report and communicate data on any delays for medical appointments for incarcerated people at Rikers Island. We also visited Rikers Island with the Committee on Criminal Justice council members who were able to join, and we are gearing up for the preliminary budget hearing, which will be scheduled likely for next month. As Assemblymember Epstein mentioned, we are working really closely with his office and Community Board 3 to respond to outdoor dining sheds where there are concerns around sanitation, rats, other quality of life issues, and we look forward to continuing that work. Just want to clarify in terms of the text amendment. So while the text amendment is being voted on, or I don't have that date confirmed, it doesn't contain rules or regulations for the actual program. A modification was added last week, which means it won't go into effect till the City Council actually passes legislation for the new program. So with that said, I really encourage anyone who's interested in providing feedback about the program to reach out to me. I've been in touch with some of you on this Zoom before, and always happy to speak. And finally, just wanted to share that we're really happy to see all of the community organizations and people who made the Avenue B Winterfest possible earlier this month. It was a really beautiful sunny day. Great to celebrate our Open Streets program in the community, and also really wonderful to see so many people join us at the rally to show some love for Charas on the 13th, but to celebrate Valentine's Day. So that's all for me. Let me know if any questions.
Thank you, Isabel. Susan, you have a question? Go right ahead.
It must be about the text amendment. So it doesn't matter if they haven't decided on the details of the text amendment. The one thing it explicitly does is take away protections in residential areas. So whether you take away a little or whether you take away a lot, you're still allowing outdoor use under people's bedroom windows, which zoning was created to not allow. So I just wanted to make that point. Thank you. And thank you for including CB3 in with the sheds that we all work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm technically done with elected official reports. Is the borough president on?
Sorry, Paul. He'll probably be on in maybe 10 minutes or so.
All right, I'm going to continue on with our attendance then, and you let me know when he comes on, and I'll let him speak.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Sorry. All right. So we're going to move on to the next item, which is our approval of December 2021 minutes and roll call. Go right ahead, Laura.
David Adams.
Yes.
Yaron Altsman.
Yes.
Jesse Beck. Jesse Beck. Lee Berman.
Yes.
Carlin Chan.
Yes.
Jonathan Chu. Jonathan Chu. David Crane.
Yes. Here.
Eric Diaz.
Yes.
Tariq Durrell.
Yes.
Alistar Economakis. Alistar. Jamie Felber. Jamie Felbert, Shirley Fennessy. Shirley Fennessy. Ryan Gilliam,
Yes.
Deborah Glass,
Yes.
Andrea Gordillo,
Yes.
Canel Hernandez,
Yes.
Herman Hewitt,
Yes.
Trevor Holland,
Yes.
Linda Jones,
Yes.
Valentina Jones,
Yes.
Lisa Kaplan,
Yes.
Olympia Gassi,
Yes.
Jeanette Kim, Jeanette Kim, Michelle Coopersmith, Michelle
He's on.
Coopersmith. I see her there. Yeah. All right, Mei Lee,
Yes. Sorry.
Wendy Lee,
Yes.
Alicia Lewis Coleman, Alicia Lewis Coleman, David Louis,
Yes.
Laura Lugo, that would be me, Ellen Luo, Ellen Luo, Michael Marino,
Present.
Michael Perlis, Michael Perlis, Orango,
Yes.
Damaris Reyes,
Yes, and happy Tuesday, everybody.
happy 222 Tuesday, Richard Ropiak,
Yes.
Tomas Rosa, Tomas Rosa, Robin Chattel,
Yes.
Heidi Schmidt, Heidi Schmidt,
She's not here tonight.
Larissa Schamberg,
Yes.
Anisha Stephen,
Yes.
Sandra Strother,
Present but abstaining.
Danielle Tanau, Danielle Tanau, Josephine Velez,
Yes.
Troy Velez,
Yes.
Rodney Washington,
Yes.
Michelle Cooper Smith.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Hi, Laura.
Chairman.
Sorry, I missed Jesse Beck. Yes, I missed mine. Sorry, I got pulled away to a call, work call.
All right, thank you, Jesse.
Thanks.
Anybody else who missed? Thank you, Jesse.
Hey, Kay Webster.
I am so sorry. How did that happen? Oh, okay. Kay Webster, Jackie Wong.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I think the tacos got too much to me. Okay, Jackie Wong, Ricky Wong.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You missed the second page? Okay. All right. Thank you, Laura. All right. I'm going to go and start with my report until the borough president gets here. Doesn't mean I'm going to go for 10 minutes until he gets here, but we'll come back when he arrives. So good evening, everyone. Just a couple things. So savor the Zoom stuff because we may not have it much longer. So I believe that on March 16th, the executive order is going to expire unless there's an extension of some sort, which would mean what for us? That means we're probably going back to face after March 16th. And that would mean in the month of March that the two meetings that affects are the executive committee meeting and the full board meeting for the month of March. So I believe we are preparing to, if not already, have reached out to PS20 for the full board meeting for next month. So we're most likely coming back face to face unless there's something different that happens. I know the city and the state and the country have kind of been on this downward trajectory with all this COVID stuff recently. So I guess that's allowing certain things to happen and restrictions to be loosened and whatnot. And I think it's going to be March 16th from everything that's been communicated to us about meetings, that's going to be the end of our Zoom life for now. We are working to get hybrid meetings going at that point. I don't know if we have the resources right now. I know that's a discussion myself and the office will have, and we will also have that conversation with the borough president's office in trying to get some of those meetings to at least be hybrid. That may not be the case for everything. So I'm just giving everybody the heads up on that right now. I'll take questions at the end, so give me 1 second. As you see, our elected official reports kind of moved quite smoothly tonight. And we've been having conversations with a lot of the elected official and their representatives in terms of timing and whatnot. So we can get as much information as possible, succinctly as possible. And I just want to continue to remind everybody that questions should be pertinent to anything related to the board and things that are related to us and it's important information for us, for the elected officials. So let's keep that in mind as we continue to ask questions of everyone. Sometimes we have stuff that goes beyond that, our board capabilities, and you're always more than welcome to reach out to those elected officials on your own. Next thing I do want to talk about is service delivery issues. I know a lot of people have reached out to us thinking we do deal a lot with service delivery on agenda items and whatnot. That's not necessarily the case. I know that came up at a couple of committee meetings this month. So I just, I don't know if Susan's going to bring it up a little bit more in her report, but service delivery seems to be an issue. We understand that developments may need assistance in reaching out, and it's always okay to reach out to the office in terms of service delivery, but in terms of agenda items for committees, that may not necessarily be the case. And I can always address that offline with anybody. Recruitment. I have a feeling that some people may not be returning to the board, and that's perfectly fine. I understand that. I know people have reached out to me and I thank them for their service. And what we need though is more board members. And I know a lot of people know a lot of people and may be interested. And if you're interested in recruiting them, please do so. From what I understand, we have the lowest or one of the lowest amount of applications coming into for Community Board 3. Those of you who know somebody who may be interested, tell them to fill out the application. It's due by March 1st. So that way they can come in and be a part of this, and hopefully we can look to the future with newer people coming aboard. Those of you who are up for reappointment, if you have not filled out your application yet, it's also due by March 1st. So please keep that in mind. There's also been questions and comments, and people have reached out to me either via email or phone call about committees overall and committee structures. Do I have a lot of ideas in my head? Yes, there's a lot of ideas in my head. Am I going to act on anything right now? Absolutely, yeah, absolutely not. So that's where I stand with that. All the committees will remain the same right now. I am not moving forward with anything of that sort. I am looking at different things for efficiency, as I've mentioned 2 months ago, but right now, I'm not touching anything. And it's not my decision to make, because eventually that goes to the full board for any votes in terms of if we make any changes for committees. That is it for me for right now. Valentina, you have your hand up. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, can you consider PS20, there are no windows in that auditorium and the seats are stable. And so one of the places that I think is one of the places that you might want to consider is Manny Cantor Educational Alliance, because they have like, their seats are movable in one of the, I don't know, one of the big rooms that they have. And they have like, I think it's sliding doors or whatever, so that there could be quite a bit of ventilation in the room. So just, that would be a consideration. Manny Cantor, that's one of the few that I know of that the seats are movable and that there's doors or windows or whatever so that there's ventilation. Because that PS20, that's kind of a rough thought to be sitting in a room, the seats don't move. If you're on the end, people are gonna have to constantly go past you to get in, and there's no windows. So I don't know what kind of ventilation that is, but that to me just sounds terrible.
We are looking at a bunch of options. I know PS20's traditionally been the place, so well, this is not easy right now in terms of finding new places. So
That's pre-COVID, and it's like no windows and no movable seats. It's just not generally the best place. Thank you. So
no, thank you, Valentin. I appreciate your comments.
Okay.
All right, Trevor, I saw your hand up next.
And just real quick, if they do go hybrid, have the rules been established for hybrid? I know before there was a requirement that if you're a community board member, you had to allow people in your home or some weird rule.
No.
I know there was some. I know there's some stuff. Susan, I don't know if any of that's
No, they
changed.
have
Do you
not.
want to answer that?
They have not done anything about hybrid yet.
We're still trying to get clarification. We just got this news towards on Thursday, so we're trying to figure out a lot of stuff. I know we gave a preliminary announcement to the executive committee on Thursday, but we're still trying to map a lot of this stuff out. And since we were off yesterday, we're going to go ahead, Susan.
They would have to change the open meeting law, which they have not done at this time.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you. Robin and then May. Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, hi. I have two questions. One, this is for all meetings then, right? For committee meetings as well, would be going in person?
Yeah. That is after March 16th. So in the month of March, the only meetings it affects is executive and full board. In April, it will affect everything.
And my second question is, if we're going back into a school building and the mask mandate in schools isn't lifted, does that mean we would be wearing masks during the meetings?
Yes.
And would people be checked for, would we be asking people to prove vaccination to come to a meeting, or you can't do that, I suppose? The community board.
I'm not, it also depends on the building. I think there's a lot of technical things we're still trying to figure out about this, Robin. Go ahead, Susan.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
We have a lot of work, we just found out we have a lot of work to do.
I imagine the masks, yes, and if they ask us for vaccinations, probably. I'm just gonna say that, but not as of yet. May, go right ahead. You're on mute, May.
Just a word about Manny Cantor, because my organization runs programs there, but they plan. I know they close early these days. They close at 8 because of COVID. So if we were to go there, we'd have to get an
We have
exception.
to walk in and walk out. I got you.
Yeah, or we get an exception from them, and somehow somebody stays late, which means somebody gets paid more.
Okay. Thank you, May. Okay. So we will figure out a lot of this stuff. We're working with the borough president's office on that. And that's the support we're going to be looking for from them going forward. All right. That is it for my report. Is the borough president on by any chance? Eric?
Not just yet. It'll just be a couple more minutes. I'm in messages with them as we speak.
Does CB1 have their meeting tonight? I think they do. Is that correct?
CB1 and CB12 as well.
So it's a party. All right. That is it for my report, everyone. Thank you. And I'm going to move it over to the district manager's report.
Okay, thank you, Paul. First of all, last month I noted that board members should use the links that were sent to them to join the meeting. And I think almost everybody did, so thank you. And now I'll give the same message to elected official reps. You should all be getting emails with links for the full board meeting that will allow you to join as panelists. We sometimes have a lot of trouble on Zoom promoting people from attendee to panelists, so it's much easier if you can do that. If you're not getting the emails, you should get them a week before, 24 hours before, and 1 hour before the meeting. If you're not getting them, please let me know and I'll see what's going on. Tomorrow, DOT is going to be starting work on the Clinton Street bike lanes to harden the lanes. They're changing the delineators to either jersey barriers or other forms of protection that will be much safer. They're also exploring new rubber and concrete barriers and curb designs that will effectively separate bike lanes from vehicle travel lanes. So I know that's been a big concern of many of the board members and also in our resolution. So I wanted to report that. There's been a lot of conversation also, of course, about the tragedies we've had with some people who appear to be mentally ill and have been known in the system, have been arrested previously and have been back out on the street. I did have a conversation with the DA's office today about this. They are looking at programs because there has to be an alternative to either jail or street. It's clearly not the answer. And they are looking at new and different programs. And I emphasize how important this is to our community, and that, you know, we've been hearing actually about new programs for 7 years, and it's about time that we absolutely needed to see these programs established. I do feel very optimistic that their office will be doing this. The half marathon will be coming through a small portion of Community Board 3 on March 20th. This will be on the Transportation Committee agenda, you know, because some members have said that they're concerned and would like to be able to ask questions about that. We cannot meet at Manny Canner, one, because they closed early and this has caused problems in the past, but also because at the last time we met there, they wanted to see photo IDs of everybody that came in. And that is not considered, Community Board 3 has never considered that accessible, since not everybody in the community would have a photo ID. We are scheduled for PS 20 for March. There should be plenty of seats for social distancing, and I will find out and send out emails about whether masks or vaccinations are required. I suspect they might be, but I'll definitely let everyone know. As far as service delivery, I actually wasn't planning on speaking to that, but just simply it's, you know, service delivery problems cannot be resolved in committees. The city charter delegates them to the community board offices. We spend a lot of time on work because they necessitate a lot of follow-up, a lot of research. So I want to please ask people to send emails to us with problems. We work very closely with the local elected officials also, so that we're not duplicating each other's work. So let me know if there's any questions on that. And if there's no questions, that's it.
Thank you. Is there any questions for the district manager? Once, going twice, 3 times. Oh, we're sold again. Okay, we're gonna go to the committee reports on this. The borough president has shown up. This is gonna be an ongoing joke for.
Logging on as we speak. So.
Oh, okay. So I'll hold off for a second. It's gonna be like intermission or halftime. Val, you have a question? Go right ahead. Yep, you're on mute.
Okay. I want to know, I mean, I hate to give you a hard time about this, but I'm a senior citizen. And when you tell me, Val, we're going to have a crowd of people in an auditorium with no windows, no ventilation, I'm not really thrilled about going there. And so I want to know, you know, how does that work out if, you know, I'm a vulnerable senior citizen and CDC says if there's not good ventilation, not a good place to be with a crowd of people. I mean, and I can pull up the reference because I know this.
Oh, I know. I hear you. I understand. No, we can definitely have this conversation offline and figure out something, and we can go from there. I just, you know, I want to, you know, we're just getting this information now over the past couple of days. So we're trying to figure out best places, everything like that going forward. So, you know, traditionally we've met at PS20. I understand the concerns. Definitely understand the concerns.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Thank you. All right, back to halftime. I would like to go to committee reports, but I know the first committee is going to be.
I see him listed in the attendees. I think he's just getting.
Okay, I'm promoting
I got
him.
him.
I'm promoting him now.
Okay.
I'm trying.
He was having the same
He
issue.
should be
others were having
promoted
earlier
now.
with the link.
He should be good now.
Hello, everybody.
Go right ahead, Mr. Borough President.
Thank you so much. And thank you for accommodating my schedule. Hopping around between community boards tonight. It's a big island, but CB3 is important. So, Mr. Chair, I appreciate you allowing me to speak. I'm now in my second month as your new borough president, and it's been a month of highs and lows for the borough, I have to say, with the good news of the Omicron wave now being behind us. We were seeing 50,000 cases a day. We're down to 1,000 cases a day. Remarkable turnaround, making possible a spring of reopening and rebirth for Manhattan and the city that I'm incredibly excited for. But this has also been a difficult 6 or 7 weeks so far in 2022 with a converging crises of mental health and homelessness and public safety and subways that have impacted Community Board 3 quite directly and quite painfully. And I've been with you, I've stood with you on a painfully number of cases, painfully high number of times, as we have mourned the loss of loved ones in our community, most recently the tragic murder of Christina Lee. And I am focused, as all you are, on attacking these problems, on ensuring that we do more to get people who are in crisis off the streets into the kinds of venues they need, whether it be into shelter, into supportive housing, into inpatient psychiatric treatment. We need more resources on all fronts. I am particularly focused on the fact that Manhattan has lost almost 500 inpatient psychiatric beds in the past decade, and that has made it far too difficult for people in crisis to access inpatient psychiatric care who need it. We need to reverse that trend. I'm working hard to identify ways we can do that. Also been focusing on a way we can improve the physical infrastructure in our subways by installing screen doors on our subway platforms. This is technology in use around the world in cities in Europe and Asia and elsewhere. It's even in use at JFK Airport on the air train. And it prevents people from being pushed onto the tracks or falling accidentally, or unfortunately this happens a lot, committing suicide or attempting suicide or even dropping their cell phone. We want the MTA to start installing these. This is something that I and others have been calling for years, but which gained renewed momentum after another tragic murder of Michelle Go in the Times Square subway station. I want to acknowledge the fear that communities and Community Board 3 are feeling in the wake of the horrible wave of anti-Asian hate, and the extent to which I think it's critical that policymakers at all levels listen to and understand that perspective, and that it's factored into our policymaking on every single factor, every single decision that we're confronting, and that we do more to confront anti-Asian hate and also correct the policies which have resulted in disproportionate public safety and other challenges here in Community Board 3. On a more positive note, I'm excited that in the last week or two, I've launched an initiative with my fellow borough presidents to call for the planting of 1 million more street trees in New York City. This is about so much more than just pretty landscapes. This is about fighting climate change because trees absorb CO2. It's about protecting us against extreme weather because trees absorb runoff and flood events. They cool a neighborhood when there's a heat wave, but there's real inequality in where street trees are located. And some communities, including parts of Community Board 3, have far fewer than their share. And so we want a new initiative to plant trees in vacant tree pits, to put in more tree pits, to plant trees in parks and wilderness areas, on rooftops, on NYCHA campuses, to beautify our city and to install this essential infrastructure as part of our comeback. I want to announce 2 deadlines coming up that are very important. If you are associated with a nonprofit that would like to apply for city capital money through the borough president's office, your deadline is imminent. You got to get your application to us by February 24th, which I guess is this Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. And secondly, if you are a community board member whose term is up this year, we want you to reapply. The deadline for reapplications is March 1st. We want you to reapply, and we want you to help recruit new leaders onto the board. Young people, you can be 16 and up to apply. So we want high schoolers and senior citizens. We want all perspectives. We want NYCHA residents, small business owners. We want people with disabilities. We want newcomers to the district and people who've been here for decades. Please spread the word. We want to apply, yourself, of course, included. The deadline, again, coming up imminently on March 1st. So I think I'm going to pause there, Mr. Chair. If there's time and it's appropriate to take questions, by all means, I'm happy to. If you're rushed and don't have time for that, I also understand.
No, thank you, Mr. Borough President. I will have 2 questions that I see hands up. Kay Webster and then Michael Marino. Go ahead, Kay.
Oh, Deborah, did you take your hand down? Anyway, hi, Mr. Borough President. Thank you so much. The million trees is a terrific idea as a park advocate. But I also want to speak as a park advocate in terms of who we talk to about getting resources above ground for some of our parks that are trying to build a cooperative community, and we've done well since the 80s to build a community that actually works together. But this last murder, and I've been personally involved in one in 2004, just not acceptable. And we know that there are infrastructure issues with our park, and it's true of other parks that don't help. So we would like your help with the Parks Department in particular. We have gotten great assistance from the Community Board and the Police Department and all of our not-for-profits that surround this park, but we would love the help of our electeds. So I guess that's
well, absolutely. Are you talking about Sarah Roosevelt Park or Columbus Park or
Sarah Roosevelt, which is across from where the most recent murder happened, and I do say the most recent.
Well, thank you for bringing this up. First of all, that park had a lot of problems, and as you mentioned, even numerous acts of violence, including at least one murder last October, even before the horrible incident of a week and a half ago. There's a lot we have to do to improve safety in that park, including increasing PEP officer patrols, including better lighting. And I am committed to partnering with you and the community to improve safety in that park and all parks. Now, some of this is also maintenance issues, park maintenance issues for cleaning, repairing broken infrastructure in the parks, et cetera. And I have called for an expansion in the Parks Department budget to be comprise 1% of the total budget. We're only at about 0.5% right now. The mayor actually, Mayor Adams, when he was a candidate, supported 1% for parks as a goal. It was not in his budget that was proposed last week, but I've been around for 8 budget cycles in the council, and I know that until the handshake happens in late June, the budget's not done. So we're going to fight in the months ahead between now and June to get much more money for operations in the Parks Department budget that can help in places like Sarah Roosevelt Park and others in CB3 in the greater Chinatown area for some of the important upgrades that you mentioned. So thank you for that.
I just want to add that some of this is about infrastructure being returned to the community, which we've advocated for 4 decades. And we would love to send you what our organization has come up with.
Oh, by all means, please do.
So I can send that to Eric?
Yeah, so I think Eric Cuello from my team, who's on our community affairs team, is on the Zoom. It sounds like you know him. He's wonderful. And if you haven't already, Eric, if you could put your contact info in the chat, please.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kay. I saw Michael and then I saw Richard. Michael, go ahead.
Thanks, Paul. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Great to see you, Michael.
You too. So I have a couple of questions for you. And one is about the 1 million trees. I mean, I think it's great. Obviously, it's definitely needed in our district, given the loss of the trees in the East River and Corlears as well. But I just have a sort of a logistical question that you probably don't know the answer to, but I just want to make you aware of, is that part of the what's the word I'm looking for? The sort of the give me back to the community for the ESCR project was planting of 1,000 trees in our district. That myself and a couple of other community board members were on that tree task force. And so we've already kind of walked this whole district and identified places where trees can go, and have already been told the various dozens of excuses as to why a tree can't go there. So for that reason, I just think that there's certain members of the community that are a little skeptical about how this new 1 million tree program is really going to affect the Lower East Side and the East Village. And then the second question I had is about the capital program. So I did have a meeting with your budget office last week, and I was a little kind of concerned by one of the comments they said about, that you would be having very different priorities than the former borough president. And so that we should sort of temper our expectations of what we've received in the past. And so that just kind of made me a little concerned that parks weren't going to be on a priority for you. So I was wondering if you were able to talk about what is your priority for capital funding?
Well, parks are a huge priority for me. We've identified resiliency as a theme in our capital funding, and parks are one of the greatest, if not the single greatest tool for resiliency we have. So were you discussing expense money, Michael, or capital money?
Capital.
Or both? Got it.
Capital.
Okay. Let's you and I connect offline on that. I think that you might have just been getting generic boilerplate caveats, but I can tell you that I know and love Corlears and have respected your work for a long time, and that it certainly fits with our theme of resiliency. So let's connect offline. At any rate, while the applications are due in a couple of days, the award process plays out over the next few months. So as long as you're in the system, then we can sort of catch our breath and have some good conversation about what you're looking to do and what our capacity is, et cetera. As for the need for street trees and the Grand Street area, the greater Lower East Side area, I am really committed to surging tree planting in the community. immediately. And I'm also willing to join you in trying to push back against bureaucratic resistance on specific sites. It might make sense for you and members of my team at some point to do a neighborhood tree planting survey or walkthrough, perhaps with a member of the Parks Department, maybe with a member of the community board, so that we can understand your priorities and join you in pushing back if the Parks Department is putting up obstacles. Sometimes it's just about spending a little more money because that's a more complicated installation. But if there's any community where that kind of investment is justified, it's the Lower East Side committee, considering what you're being subjected to. So you have me as a partner in that, and I would love to be more directly involved in your identification of tree planting sites.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Richard, you're the last question for the borough president.
Yes, sir. I listened to your comments about the recent murders in Chinatown. Your comments about providing mental health services and suitable housing were all on point. They were all very good. Fact of the matter is, 2 people were murdered, and that leads to a justice question, and that leads to criminal justice. The mayor has recognized the focus on that, and I think it would be good if you could include that, which you did not include in your comments about those incidents.
The question of law enforcement as part of the response?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I frequently identify it as part of a multifaceted response. We have to surge social services, especially in our subways, to get people the help they need, to get them into the residential settings they need. But there's absolutely a role for law enforcement. You know, over the past weekend, there were 8 violent attacks in our subway system. And as far as press reports have identified, only 2 involved the homeless person. In one case, the homeless individual was the victim. So this is not only about mental health and homeless issues. Again, we don't know the mental health state of the various attackers. And so absolutely, we need officers on the ground. Community policing is the model where they can get to know neighborhoods, have trust. Of course, we want accountable policing. We want policing that doesn't commit some of the mistakes of past eras, which was disproportionately directed at low-income people of color. We want it to be targeted and appropriate and proportionate, but it is part of a broad menu of solutions that we need to implement in our subway system and beyond. People feel unsafe in Chinatown, in CB3, in New York City, and that's not acceptable. We need people to feel safe on mass transit. We need people to feel safe going back to work in Midtown office buildings and come here as tourists. Our economy depends on that. The economy of Community Board 3, by the way, depends on that more than most. And we need people to feel safe. And all elements that I mentioned are part of the solution: social services, housing, mental health support, inpatient psychiatric beds, and law enforcement appropriately and fairly applied. So thank you for giving me a chance to offer a more complete answer.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you, Richard. I did say Richard was the last question. Carlin, something quick, go right ahead, because I want to be mindful of the borough president's time.
Yeah, this will take about 15 seconds. Good evening, Mark. Okay, I was at the Eric Adams announcement about the subway Tom's teams, but at times when you displace a homeless person from the subway system, you're pushing them back onto the street. So I would love to see this program. You advocate to push this program above ground also.
Right. If all you're doing is relocating a homeless individual from the subway to the street, you're not achieving anything other than moving a problem around. That's why we have to have appropriate residential venues for individuals struggling with homelessness. And as I mentioned, there's a variety of venues, from low barrier to entry shelter to supportive housing in the long term, to inpatient psychiatric beds where appropriate, et cetera. So we need to push on all of that, and some of that is not quick, which creates a challenge. But we don't just want to move the problem around. We want to solve the problem. We want to get people who are vulnerable and suffering the resources, the treatments, the housing that they need. And I'm fighting to do that with everything I've got.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Borough President, for your time. I know you had to go on a few board meetings tonight, so appreciate you dropping by. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, CB3. Have a great night.
Thank you. All right. Now we can get to our committee reports. Normally I'd like to do the exec one, but I'll forego that for this time around, as I've already said in my report. We're gonna go a little bit out of order because there's a potential change in a resolution. SLA, Michelle, go ahead. You can start, lead off.
Thanks, Paul. So we heard a total of 8 applications this month. 7 of those applicants signed the stipulations. So I'm going to talk about the one that did not. For those of you that were here in the beginning of the meeting, the one that did not sign is Cloister Cafe on East 9th Street. Linda, would you actually mind giving me the ability to share my screen so I can? Thank you. So just for some context, I'm not sure how clear what the members of the public said was, but the applicants for this establishment had operated Cloister Cafe for like 33 years or something. Then during the pandemic, SLA investigators found that they were having illegal indoor parties and serving outdoors way past, if we can all remember back to the time when all restaurants had to close at like 11 p.m., way past that time as well. And you heard the neighbors alluding to that, having noise in the backyard at 4 a.m. We initially passed a resolution approving this license with very restrictive outdoor settings. As I said, the applicant did not sign those stipulations, asked for 3 a.m. outdoors, which, as you've heard me say many, many times, is not the standard here in CV3, especially for an applicant that had its license taken away by the SLA, which Susan can tell you happens so infrequently. So that means, of course, that something really, bad happened to prompt the SLA to take away the license. And so subsequent to the meeting, Susan watched the, just to give you some insight, it's hard to find the SLA hearings. That's when the commissioners discuss applications and disciplinary history, because you have to watch the whole video. You have no idea where it is. So anyway, subsequent to the committee meeting, Susan, thank you, did that and pulled out a bunch of facts that were named during the hearing when the SLA took away this applicant's license. And for all of these reasons, which I'm going to share my screen so you can see some of them, but basically what I want to recommend is that we change this application to a full out denial to give more gravitas to it, to the SLA, in case these applicants decide to pursue their license, even though they did not decide to agree to the stipulations that we had set for them. So you can see here in what I'm sharing, and let me make it a little bigger. Oops. So what I would like to do is make a motion to change this item number 15 on the SLA minutes to a full out denial without any option for stipulations. Sometimes we include the stipulations in there sort of as like a roadmap for the SLA in case they decide to approve it, but I think that, given what we learned about this applicant and what you heard from the public about what bad neighbors they've been, we should really change this to a full out denial and add a few more facts to the resolution to make it stronger. So everything that we've added since the vote sheet was sent out is in yellow. So I'd like to make a motion to amend this to a full out denial and to edit it, as you can see here with the yellow. I'll read, is there David, should I do a second before reading it out loud?
I second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to read this out loud so that you can hear it. I'm just going to skip to the part where the the amendment is. So whereas Cloister Cafe operated with a full on-premises liquor license from 1987 until approximately 2020 and was found during an investigation on August 7th, 2020 with both the SLA investigator and NYC Sheriff's Office present to host an illicit private party with over 80 present and DJs and loud music during the pandemic in violation of the governor's executive order. Other promoted parties were also reported, and that's a link to the story where this was first reported. Whereas the SLA issued a summary suspension against Cloister Cafe on August 7, 2020 for operating as a nightclub class curfew, violating social distancing and significant fire and life safety violations, with the NYC Sheriff's Office issuing 7 criminal court summonses, and SLA Commissioner Bradley, who's the head of the SLA, recommending that the license not be returned. And that's a link to that. Whereas SLA Commissioner Lily Fan, who I think is a member of CB4 actually, stated during the applicant's disciplinary hearing that he had committed multiple violation of the governor's executive order by allowing indoor service and alcohol service with no food, drinking outside the establishment within 100 feet of his front door, patrons and employees with insufficient use of face coverings, and the lack of social distancing. Given that our investigators and our own chairman himself are risking their own health during the pandemic to enforce these laws, I can really say that these locations, as they continue to put profit over safety, are wasting our valuable investigative resources. And then just a link to the video where that was said. Whereas an SLA staff member stated during the hearing that the applicant's backyard had an illegal structure, was over capacity, and did not have the proper egress in the case of emergency, and that the applicant acknowledged to the SLA investigator that he was aware of 311 complaints coming from the backyard. And then here, just adding, in addition to Community Board 3, the SLA and the 9th Precinct also had gotten complaints about this. We also reviewed the petition again, and it turned out, thank you, Susan, in the office for doing that. It turned out that many of the applicant's signatures were actually tenants of his own buildings, which obviously presents a conflict of interest if your landlord is coming to you and asking you to sign a petition in their favor. And so then we're going to say, therefore, the amendment goes on to be, therefore be it resolved that Community Board 3 recommends a denial of the application for a full on-premises liquor license for the Cloister East Inc. for the premises located at 238 East 9th Street because of its adverse history during the COVID-19 pandemic that put the health and safety of New Yorkers at risk and led to the revocation of its liquor license. Okay, so David, now we're debating the amendment. Yep.
We're going to open up for debate. See
On the
two
amendment.
hands. Yes, on the amendment only, not the entire resolution, but the amendment. Lisa Kaplan, go ahead. You're on mute, Lisa.
I'm sorry, no, I am 100% in favor of this change. I recall this being a problematic venue 10 years ago when I worked for the city council person. This is, I was stunned to see the original amendment in support. So I completely agree.
Thank you, Lisa. Susan and then David Adams. Susan, go ahead. You're on mute, Susan.
Okay, these are just edits. I would change Commissioner Bradley to Chair Bradley. And to be fair, I would not say many of the petition signers were tenants, but I would say some of the petition.
Okay, that was me ad-libbing. It says some of whom are the applicant's tenants.
Okay,
Thanks.
so that's it.
Thank you, Susan. David Adams, go ahead.
Yeah, I would add maybe one more whereas is that the stipulations you would have them signed to, they've knowingly violated so far. So it would be redundant or not applicable to have them with stipulations because they've ignored them until now.
Well, David, just so you understand, so they were approved without stipulations in like 1987. So they weren't violating stipulations per se when they were behaving poorly, but they just proved to be bad neighbors with a lot of, given that they had all that latitude and they behaved poorly under them. So it wouldn't actually be accurate to say that, but I understand the point.
David Crane, go ahead.
Yeah, there's the words illicit and should be reversed earlier. Should probably be an illicit private party, I believe, or illicit should
Over
be
here. Yeah, to host an illicit private party.
Thanks.
Okay, other hands?
I don't see any other hands. So if that's the case. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna move this to a roll call vote on just the amended portion, and then it will be returned back to the calendar as calendar item number 15 for the SLA as the newly amended resolution. So we're gonna take a roll call vote on this amendment, on this amended resolution. So Laura, I'm gonna need you to call it out, the roll call for everyone on this amendment. Closing debate, we're gonna go with a roll call. So Laura, go ahead.
David Adams,
Yes.
Yaren Altman,
Yes.
Jesse Beck,
Yes.
Lee Berman,
Yeah.
Carlin Chen,
Yes.
Jonathan Shu, David Crane,
Yes.
Eric Diaz,
Yes.
Tariq Darrell,
Yes.
Alice Bell, Jamie Felber, Shirley Fennessy, Ryan Gillihan,
Yes.
Gracias, Deborah Glass,
Yes.
Andrea Gordillo,
Yes.
Camille Hernandez,
Yes.
Herman Hewitt,
Yes.
Trevor Holland,
Yes.
Linda Jones,
Yes.
Valentina Jones,
Yes.
Lisa Kaplan, Lisa Kaplan,
Yes, I'm sorry.
Olympia Kasi,
Yes.
Jeanette Kim, Mikkel Coopersmith,
Yes.
Mei Lee,
Yes.
Wendy Lee,
Yes.
Alicia Lewis Coleman, David Louis,
Yes.
Tori Lugo, yes. Ellen Luo, Michael Marino,
Yes.
Michael Perlis, Paul Rangel,
Yes.
Samaras Reyes, she leave us?
She's still on.
Damaris Reyes,
Come back to her.
Richard Robiak,
Yes.
Tomas Rosa, Robin Chattel, Robin,
Yes, sorry, yes.
thank you. Heidi Schmidt,
She's absent.
Larissa Schamberg,
Yes.
Anisha Stephen,
Yes.
Sandra Strother,
Yes.
Danielle Danao, Josephine Velez,
Yes.
Troy Velez,
Yes.
Rodney Washington,
Yes.
Kathleen Webster,
Yes.
Jackie Wang, Jackie Wang,
Yes, I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ricky Wang.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that motion passes.
Damaris, did we get Damaris Reyes? Is she back on?
Nope. Motion passes. Okay. So
That's-
that will go.
That's all I've
back-
got. Yeah. Thank you.
That
and
will go
thank you,
back
Laura.
to the, vote sheet and 15 as the newly amended resolution. Lisa Kaplan, you have a question.
Yes, I have two questions about item number 8 and item number 12. With regard to item number 8, Civic Hall, they didn't ask for any outdoor use, but
No.
yet
It's
but
a
yet-
catering.
Right, but the resolution says that they can have outdoor use.
Okay, are you?
Yes.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
At item 12, they ask for a wine and beer, but the resolution is for a full liquor.
Okay. All right, okay, so I mean, it should be a friendly amendment to just change that for number 8 for the number 3, it will close all outdoor dining, so it will not use outdoor dining, it will not use any outdoor space for commercial use. Any objections to that? That's a mistake I made. Thank you for catching, Lisa. And then for number 12, in the first sentence, it should say is seeking a wine beer.
It's really
license.
that's really egregious. These should be read over a little more carefully. Sorry.
Okay, thanks for your opinion, Lisa. I appreciate it. Any objections to that? Thanks. Any other hands, Paul?
I don't see any other hands.
Thank you.
No objections. Thank you. Jackie, land use.
Thank you. We don't have any result. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just 1 second. So we don't have any result this month. We had a nonprofit organization came in to talk about HPD's first home down payment assistance program. The subsidies recently increased from 40,000 to 100,000. So so this is really attractive, and this is also the first year we put affordable ownership in the DNS, and we think the program can be a big help to help our low and moderate income families in a CB3 area to reach ownership. They came in to talk about the program's benefit and also limitations. And surprisingly, they said many of their previous transactions actually in Manhattan actually located in Lower East Side. We also had the Charas Committee to give us an update on the recent development, including foreclosure that many of you are aware of. CB3 has a long history of support for the city to purchase the building and turn it to become arts and cultural venue. And we agreed to send a new mayor, Mayor Eric Adams, a letter based on our existing position, since there is no change on the position and it didn't require a vote. So that's all I have.
Any questions for Jackie? Hearing none. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Interim Chair of Transportation, David Crane. Go ahead, David.
Are there any questions about the items? I don't think I need to summarize. I think people. Are there any?
Any hands, questions for David? All right, thank you. Thank you, David. Trevor, Parks.
Thank you. We didn't have any resolutions, but we did get an update on the ongoing East Side Coastal Resiliency Project. Of note, there was a job fair last week, a virtual job fair held for those seeking jobs with this particular project. It was held last week. I'm not sure which day. I didn't attend, but I hope people were able to attend because they are looking for people in our particular neighborhood to work on this. The Delancey and Corliss Bridge are being dismantled and replaced, a significant progress towards this park being open. The amphitheater working group will reconvene meetings in a couple of months. They are going to discuss the design of the canopy, which is something which we advocated for, and it was in the mayor's last budget. We hope to hear about that canopy in, or at least the preliminary design in April or May. The Brooklyn Montgomery Coastal Resiliency Project AKA BMCR, starts this summer. So that's additional construction on South Street. Pier 42, the deck portion will be done by this summer, which is pretty fast considering how Parks does things. And the rest of the Pier 42 Park, the master plan will be done by next summer. In addition to LMCR, in addition to ESCR, BMCR, there's a new project just further south, but it will attach itself to the Coastal Resiliency Project in Two Bridges, and it's called SPCR. So it's another acronym, otherwise known as the Seaport Coastal Resiliency Project. Total amounts is close to $2.5 billion, but that's a lot of money invested in our particular community. So that's all I have to report unless someone has questions.
Any questions for Trevor?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Trevor. Human Services, May.
Hi, good evening. So we do not have any resolutions for you to vote on tonight. However, last month we did have a presentation from Eric Voucher. He is now the city council person for City Council District 3. And we heard about his, he has an 8-point and it's sort of an agenda for mental health. It's called an 8-point mental health plan. And so we just had a presentation from him about it, and we asked some questions. We know that he they're still looking for feedback about the plan, and so we'll be discussing that at the next committee meeting next month. So that's all I have.
Thank you, May. Any questions for May? Hearing none, thank you. There was no landmarks meeting and there was no economic development meeting. Going to move forward. That being said, is there any old business? Any new business? No. I don't know if Laura came back. Larissa, do you have the roster?
Sorry, trying to unmute. My apologies. I do. Are we ready for final vote?
Yeah, I know Laura had to step away for a
she's
second.
yeah,
I'm
she
aware.
is dealing with her nosebleed, unfortunately.
Can you do the final roll call vote for all the resolutions, including SLA 15 that's been amended?
Okay, ready to go. You're on Altman.
Yes, present, not voting on the transportation items. I work for New York City DOT. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped David Adams. My apologies.
You're accepted. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Jesse Beck.
Yes.
We have Lee Berman.
Yes.
Carlin Chan.
Yes.
Jonathan Chu. Jonathan Chu. Hey, David Crane.
Yes.
Eric Diaz.
Yes.
Tariq Giroux.
Yes.
Alistair Konomakis. Okay, Jamie Felber.
Absent.
Fennessy. Brian Gilliam.
Yes.
Deborah Glass.
Yes.
Andrea Gordillo.
Yes.
Kenio Hernandez. Herman Hewitt.
Yes.
Thank you. Trevor Holland.
Yes.
Linda Jones,
Yes.
Valentina Jones,
Yes.
Lisa Kaplan.
Can I just confirm that the changes I suggested are also amended in the resolutions of SLA 8 and 12?
Yes, they are accepted and they were sent to the secretary.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Olympia Causey,
Yes.
Jeanette Kim, Michelle Cooper Smith,
Present.
Yes.
yes, or present. Michelle?
The roll
yes?
call vote, present. Here, yes. Bye.
Yes. Mei Lee,
Yes.
Wendy Lee,
Yes.
thank you. Alicia Lewis Coleman, David Louis,
Yes.
Laura Lugo. We'll excuse her right now. I'll go back to her. Maybe she'll be able to come back on. Ellen Luo,
She's absent.
Michael Marino,
Yes.
Michael Perillis, Paul Rangel,
Yes.
Damaris Reyes, Richard Ropiak,
Yes.
Thomas Rosa, Robin Chattel,
Yes.
Heidi Schmidt is absent. Larissa Schoenberg, yes. Anisha Stevens,
Yes.
Sandra Struthers,
Yes.
Daniel Charno,
It's not on.
Josephine Velez,
Yes.
Troy Velez,
Yes.
Rodney Washington,
Yes.
Kate Weber, Kathleen Weber, sorry.
Webster, yes,
Webster, sorry. My eyes are going tonight.
I'll live.
Jackie Wong,
Yes.
Ricky Wong.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that concludes roll call.
Laura back on? Just give her.
Yeah,
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
We back?
So, is anybody else we missed? All right, everyone, it is 8:31 p.m. Eastern Time. We can go back to regularly scheduled programming. Everything is passed. All the resolutions have passed tonight. Thank you. We are adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.
Good
I'll
night.
see everyone
Good
next
night,
month.
everybody. Thank
Good
you,
night,
Paul.
everyone.
This was great.
Good night.
Good night.
Great job, Paul.
Thank you.
Agreed. To quote baseball, you hit one out of the park.
Healing to my heart. Thank you.
Absolutely.
This might be a record. finishing.
According to basketball, this was a three-pointer.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You did it, Steph Curry. That's my guy.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.